I've worked on like 9 Ratchet and Clank games, and I was definitely ready for a change of pace. I think the whole studio was. And just when we thought that we kind of grokked how to make video games, we're surprised with this new opportunity to make a virtual reality game. We were contacted by Jason Rubin, who heads up Worldwide Studios there, and he and Ted Price go way back. Jason came by to just talk to Ted about what they were up to and how they wanted to make these AAA experiences, and that we were at the top of that list. Prior to the meeting with Jason, I had gone to Indiecade. It's an event that happens in Culver City where all these indie developers get together, and all these kids are putting on these virtual reality headsets, and super exciting. Like, they're just doing it like it was the most natural thing in the world. And I thought, this is going to be a big thing. This has to be a big thing. It just, I could feel it. I was hooked the moment I tried one on, and I could really feel that it was the future. And then from there I bought a DK2, started doing experiments in Unity. And then when Jason appeared, he was like, hey, we don't make these virtual reality games. I'm like, hey, sign me up. I'm just really excited for Insomniac fans, people who are VR fans, to check out Edge of Nowhere. It's a game about an explorer named Victor Howard who is searching for a lost expedition in Antarctica. And it's all set in the 1930s, so it's that kind of classic age of exploration. And we're heavily inspired by a novella by H.P. Lovecraft called At the Mountains of Madness. And this is a very popular story about this doomed expedition that found this alien, strange creatures of a weird origin in the middle of Antarctica. We played around with horror for fun. It was more like a Scooby-Doo kind of horror with Ratchet and Clank, and that was pretty fun. So now we get to spread our wings and just kind of go nuts with making really creepy, disturbing worlds. But the goal is to make a game that terrifies people and creates this weird Lovecraftian experience that you never quite know what's real and what's not. We think people want that. I mean, they like to be messed with a little bit, but I think you can go too far, and you have to be careful. I mean, it is a pretty powerful technology. I think there will be a day, and hopefully we're not the ones, where someone has a heart attack playing a VR game. You've seen a lot of people jump in their chairs. We have a cave sequence in the demo where something flickers past, and it's a very simple effect, but it gets people every time. And then we later have a really cool moment where people are rappelling down. I think in games you're not used to looking straight down and straight up and get that sense of vertigo as you're moving through a space. A lot of people will never go to Antarctica, so we definitely get to deliver on that experience. The other thing too is we're playing with one's sense of what's real and what's not, and your sense of presence. And so throughout Edge of Nowhere, the main hero starts to hallucinate. It's a descent into madness, much like the Lovecraft stories. And so he starts to have visions of his past. He starts to walk through his own flashbacks, almost like a Christmas Carol where Scrooge sees the ghosts of Christmas past and present and future. He's seeing those own sort of elements replaying in Antarctica. So you don't quite know where you are at all the time. We're all still learning. This is such an early nascent period in the development of VR that there's just discoveries left and right. And what we thought is true is sometimes proven wrong. Well, the biggest challenge that we discovered was that you cannot rotate people's heads involuntarily without making them sick. So some poor insomniacs had to endure some weird experiments that we were trying. Typically in a third person or even a first person game, we'll use the right stick and we'll swing our head around. But in VR, that can cause discomfort. The inner ear disconnects with what it's seeing. My head's not moving, yet the world is moving. What's going on. And the primitive brain thinks that you have eaten like wild mushrooms or something because you must be hallucinating and it's time to get that stuff out of your system. When we made a third-person game with this camera behind the character, we solved some of those problems because we could move the character in either direction. We could rotate him, but we're not moving the player's head. And what happens is the camera has to kind of move along this north-facing path so that you can always kind of look straight ahead and we're never turning you. And we were pretty clever with, I guess, how we've put together our levels to make it not feel like you're always going down this north-facing path, but in actuality you are. That was a big challenge, was learning how to redesign our levels. So we're so accustomed to having these branching paths, right turns, stuff of that nature with all the games we've made, and now we had to rethink how to build worlds. I'd love for people to say, I remember when I first got my Oculus Rift and the first game I played was Edge of Nowhere, and I was completely blown away and it changed my life. That's what I would love to hear.
Changed your life? How so?
Well, I think that you realize that it's such a powerful medium and that you can teleport yourself to other locations. And it's that thrill of that fresh experience. It's like when you first drove a car or your first kiss. I mean, there's some really big moments that happen in our lives. And I think virtual reality could be one of them.